This could be really useful for getting you out of this cycle of constantly spending and compulsively spending to get that quick dopamine hit. It can be life-changing. Okay. Hey guys, welcome. Today I'm so excited because it's going to be more of a chill, relaxed video. I'm going to be ranking the best and worst minimalist habits that I've experimented with and have tried. And I do want to say this is going to be all my opinion, so take everything that you hear today with a grain of salt. So for me, I'm going to be spilling the tea on what I see as really generating impact in my life, what has made the biggest difference when it comes to building minimalist habits, and then what more so is like fluff and not really necessary to prioritize. Not that it's bad, just that I wouldn't make it a priority in my life, if that makes sense. So I have my laptop here. For the tier system, I am going from life-changing as the best, and then it goes down to amazing, like it's still a really great habit to have. It's not going to drive the biggest impact in my life, or it hasn't. The third tier is a great start. This is an amazing habit to have. It still has benefits, but it's not going to be as life-changing as some others. Meh is kind of self-explanatory, I think, but a meh habit is like, I'll tolerate it, it's cool, it's great to have, but it's not going to change your life in a significant way. The last one is not worth prioritizing, and this one is basically that it's not a terrible habit, it's not the worst thing for you to be doing, but it's not going to change your life in any significant way. I'm going to be breaking this out into five. I'm going to be breaking 27 different habits into 5 different categories. So those categories are going to be productivity, organization and tidiness, mindfulness and slow living, saving money, and then simplifying. And I'm going to be using Tiermaker. I see all of the YouTubers using this platform, so I'm going to be using it as well. Now let's get into ranking the best and worst minimalist habits that I've tried. Productivity. So as somebody that is an Enneagram 3, I'm always trying to be more efficient, be more effective with my time. I have definitely reaped the benefits from some minimalist habits that have been really helpful with getting focused, laser focus, and getting rid of all the distractions. Starting with reverse engineering your goals. For reverse engineering your goals, this is basically taking your ultimate goal and really unpacking it to see what's going to drive the biggest impact towards that goal, what steps you can take to actually achieve that goal quicker. This has been so helpful for me, and it's made the biggest impact with my YouTube channel. The main reason why I was able to get this far is from reverse engineering my goals. So this is definitely a life-changing habit in my opinion. The second minimalist habit that we are ranking today is batch working. I've talked about batch working before. This is something that I love to do when I'm able to do it, but it's not always something that is possible for everybody, and it hasn't been possible for me for some weeks even, and I'm being 100% brutally honest with you guys here. Basically, if you don't know what batch working is, it's when you combine and categorize tasks that are similar together, and one day a week you give yourself like 4 hours or so in a day, and you just focus on that one category of tasks. I'm gonna have to say this one has been amazing for me, but it hasn't been life-changing because I'm still getting stuff done even when I'm not batch working. The 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto's principle. This is basically achieving more by working on less and focusing on less. 20% of the tasks that you work on and spend your time on produce the 80% of your wanted and desired results. So basically it means you should be focusing on the 20% and really diving into that kind of work instead of the other 80 that really doesn't generate any results if you want to grow quicker in wherever you're trying to go. It's helping me to feel less distracted on all those other unnecessary tasks, and I feel as though I'm getting less decision fatigue because of it, because I'm working on less things, if that makes sense, but I'm generating higher results. I have to say it's life-changing. It's a life-changing minimalist habit because it's teaching you to not only simplify the work that you're doing, but to focus on the work that is most important. Establish a designated work area and have no distractions. If you're trying to increase your productivity, it is important to establish a work zone where if you do end up scrolling on your phone when you're in that work zone, you have to get up, remove yourself from your work zone, and go outside of it to scroll. I say for this one, it's a great start. And the reason why it's not extremely life-changing, it doesn't increase my productivity in a crazy way that feels like I'm changing my mindset to switch from being lazy to being productive. Number 5, create more than you consume. I talk about this one all the time, and this one has made the biggest impact for me for filming YouTube videos. I love this phrase so much. It really helps me to stop scrolling mindlessly and just get my lazy booty to start creating instead and actually produce something with my hands that I can be proud of. And this really helps me to stay productive. Life-changing. Going into our next category, which is organization and tidiness. The 2-minute rule is the first one, and I'm sure you've heard of this one already. So if you're presented with like washing your dishes after you're done eating, it takes less than 2 minutes, so you might as well do it. The one thing with this is it can get really out of hand really quickly if you do this for everything. And this can be kind of a way out of being productive in the way that you should be. When it turns from 2 minutes and it turns into an hour later and you realize you haven't gotten anything done that you needed to, start refocusing on what's going to actually generate you the best results in your life or what your end goal is. I think it's more of a meh because it's not life-changing, but it's like still worth prioritizing if you're a messy person and it's helpful. For me, it helps for some things. Like I remind myself, oh, it takes less than 2 minutes, let me just get it done, because it really doesn't take that much time. But then I still focus on what's important. Have a home for everything that you own or bring into your house. I talk about this one constantly. This minimalist habit is amazing because if you make sure that you have a home for every single item that you own, it keeps everything organized. It makes it easy to keep track of all of your things, and you don't end up having something that doesn't have a place and it just sits out and it looks messy and cluttered. I think this one is amazing because it's also preventative of you bringing in miscellaneous things that aren't important to you. It's not life-changing. It's not like, oh my God, this is, I need to write this down and remember this because it's just, it needs to happen all the time. This next minimalist habit is to keep surfaces clear. It depends. So if you're struggling with always having things out on surfaces to the point where you don't keep up with it every single day, where you don't pick it up at the end of the night and it's just kind of there all the time, I can see this being really useful for you, where you force yourself to keep all surfaces clear of clutter. For me personally, this isn't life-changing. This isn't amazing. I think what's more important is making sure that all of your items have a home, a designated space. I'm not gonna say it's not worth prioritizing, but it's more of a meh. Clean as you cook. If you struggle with always leaving your mess behind and then getting frustrated because you end up realizing you have to clean all of your dishes in your kitchen at 8 o'clock at night when you would rather be relaxing, this is so helpful because cooking makes such a mess and it can be really stressful. Like nobody likes doing the dishes. I think this one's amazing in my opinion. I love this habit. It always makes the biggest difference in my home and how I feel. Amazing. Sort through mail as soon as you bring it in. So one question I see all the time is how to manage your papers. Sort through your mail as soon as you bring it into the house. Otherwise it can pile up and get really out of hand really quickly. So this one, because it's preventative of the mess and the clutter, this is an amazing habit to instill. Going into the next category, which is mindfulness and slow living. The first minimalist habit is meditating. This is one that I really wanted to implement, and it helps. It really helps if you're always stressed out, if you're anxious, if you are just waking up feeling overwhelmed. Meditating can be a really useful tool for calming the mind, starting off the day fresh. I don't meditate every morning anymore. It's not something that I feel is worth prioritizing for me, just because I have other ways of practicing mindfulness and slowing down. Sitting still and just focusing on your breath, it's really hard for me. It's a practice, it's a skill that you have to work on. I can't say not worth prioritizing because mental health is so important, and if you really need this, it really helped me in my times where I was an anxious mess and a human stress ball. So I'm not saying it didn't help me at all to get to where I am today. So I'm gonna say it's a great start. Stop multitasking and focus on one thing at a time. Really dialing in and putting your energy into one thing versus trying to do a whole bunch of other things while you're focusing on one thing. This one's really important because when you dial in and you get most of your energy into one thing, it becomes a springboard for actually achieving that goal quicker. This one, to me, being more intentional with where I'm putting my energy and how I'm using my energy is life-changing because it's something that I struggled with. So now I'm a lot more deliberate with how I use my energy. Energy management is so important. The third minimalist habit under mindfulness and slow living is to take deep breaths when you feel overwhelmed. I think this one is just amazing to slow yourself down and remember that everything is going to be okay. It's not worth stressing about. Everything will work out. This is something that's really helped me with feeling anxious and overwhelmed, is just literally forcing myself to take deep belly breaths. It's amazing. Get comfy with saying no. This habit has been wonderful. This is something that I struggle with as a people pleaser. It's hard for me to say no to things. Since making it a habit to feel comfortable with saying no to things that don't align with my goal and I can say no to simplify the task so I can make my day easier and make my day less stressful. This is so nice. This has been life-changing because it gets me out of my comfort zone of always being a yes gal, and it helps me to realize what I'm prioritizing. Gratitude journaling. Okay, like I said, I don't meditate, but gratitude journaling has been the bee's knees for me. It is something that I really need in my life. It's really easy to start feeling resentful for certain things because I'm not exactly where I want to be yet. Focusing on gratitude journaling as my mindfulness practice has made a big difference for me. And this to me has been life-changing. I feel like I'm less stressed about things not going perfectly right. Number 6, pencil in self-care days. This one is important. But if I'm being honest, I don't do it all the time. Some weeks are really hectic, but I still try to pencil in not like entire self-care days anymore. Instead, I just take little moments here and there to gratitude journal, to read, to do something that I want to do, to film. I love filming. I think this is so fun. It's something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I'm doing for myself. It's important, but I think it's more of a great start. For me personally, I do it in small ways, but I don't schedule entire self-care days, if that makes sense. But it's nice to do it every now and then. Next category is saving money, which is a big reason why a lot of people are drawn to minimalism. It's because it's living more frugal, it's being more intentional with your purchases, it's preventing compulsive buying. The first minimalist habit is to invest in reusable items instead of disposable items. When you used all of your plastic razors, instead of buying more plastic razors, invest a little bit more money in something that is reusable. That is a long-term investment to where you will end up saving your money in the long run. I think this is amazing. It's not life-changing because it's not necessary, but I think this is an amazing minimalist habit. It's better for the environment, it's better for you and your wallet, and it's just Chef's kiss. Partake in a low buy year or a no buy year. This is something that I'm actually currently doing, and I have a video right here where I talk about the habits that I'm implementing this year for a low buy year. So if you're interested in doing a low buy year and saving a ton of money to pay off some debt or just to save for yourself, check that video out. I think participating in a low buy year or a no buy year with set rules and guidelines, if you're somebody that's having a hard time with retail therapy where you're consuming to hopefully heal anxiety or depression or having a bad day, then this could be really useful for getting you out of this cycle of constantly spending and compulsively spending to get that quick dopamine hit. It can be life-changing. I like low buy years. Unsubscribe from all brand emails and magazines. This one's really useful for getting yourself out of the situation of compulsively buying sales items that you see coming into your email inbox from brands that you love and that you want to give your entire wallet to. This is like one of the first things that I recommend you do when you're trying to save more money and be intentional with your spending. I think unsubscribing is a great start to remove yourself, but unless you're really building your intention muscle, you can easily go to a brand's website and shop the sales. I would say this is a great start, but it's not life-changing. Wait 24 hours before you buy any want items. If that item is still there, it was meant to be, and if you still want that item, then go ahead and purchase it. Just make sure it's actually going to be something that you want and that you're going to actually be using. Participating in a low buy year and having guidelines, I think that's way more important than setting a 24-hour rule where you don't buy any want items. I'm gonna say this one's more of meh. Number 5, don't shop any sales. This one, it depends. So this one I would say is not worth prioritizing. I see where if you're shopping sales compulsively, this could be a really good habit to implement. But if you know exactly what you're looking for and you're waiting for a sale to come through, then I see shopping sales as one of the best ways to save money, especially if you've done your research beforehand and you know that that item is exactly what you want. Moving on to the next category, which is to simplify. Starting with building a capsule wardrobe. I kind of talk about capsule wardrobes and my opinion of them in my last video, my practical tips on how to create a minimalist wardrobe. I don't have a capsule wardrobe. I've been in the position of feeling like I needed to edit down my wardrobe to meet a specific number. I actually found myself feeling ashamed that I wasn't able to meet that number. So I was starting to feel like I needed to let go of things that I still use and love because I wanted to narrow my wardrobe down to 30 items or less. I stopped myself before I did that, thankfully. So building a capsule wardrobe, in my opinion, is not worth prioritizing. It's not life-changing. I think it can help you if that's something that you're really drawn to and you feel like you really want and it's going to benefit you. For me personally, I like just being intentional with making sure all of the items that I have in my wardrobe are being used and being loved. The second minimalist habit under simplify is to declutter often. I do believe that decluttering is an ongoing process. It's a great way to discover what matters most to you, what things matter most to you, and what just isn't as necessary to keep. It can help clear out your space, make it feel more rejuvenating, more inspiring. It gives you permission to let go of things that might be weighing you down. In this world where we are compulsive consumers, we just are taught to buy more to be successful, or having certain things make you successful. Having this habit of taking inventory of all of your items, evaluating what matters most to you, decluttering is definitely life-changing, in my opinion. It's made a huge impact on us. Repeating meals. This is so valuable. Okay, when you repeat your meals and you learn how to cook things by heart, like specific meals that you know you love, that are good for you, that are healthy, and you know them like the back of your hand, it is so nice to kind of have this like lunch menu. It makes it so easy to grocery shop, and it saves you a ton of time because you don't have to constantly be like, oh, what are we cooking this week? Oh, we've got to come up with something new. It gives you permission to cook the meals that you know that you and your family love, that are good for you, and just have those on repeat every other week or every week. We also like to repeat meals that aren't very expensive to save money. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at amazing because I think it makes a huge difference in your life, but it's not one of those things that's like, a massive impact, if that makes sense, where it changes your life completely. Reduce friction as much as possible. So if you are struggling to work out every single day, making sure that you have your workout attire ready for you to put on and throw on as soon as you get out of bed, or like having your coffee already pulled out and ready to go and brew in the morning so that it's easy for you, so there's less friction and it takes less steps for you to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. I don't want to say it's not worth prioritizing, because I think it can be really helpful for getting started and kickstarting a good habit that you're trying to form. I think it's a great start. The next minimalist habit is to meet a certain number of items in your home, kind of like what I talked about when we discussed having a capsule wardrobe. I think trying to meet a specific number of items in your possession can be very toxic. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world and it's not worth prioritizing if this is something that you need. Again, just feel like I need to put that disclaimer out there. For me personally, trying to meet a certain number of items, it puts me in this position of possibly feeling ashamed if I cannot meet that certain number of items, or in a position where I declutter everything I own that I spent my hard-earned money on just to get rid of it so I can meet a certain number of items and then eventually regretting getting rid of those things. In my opinion, meeting a certain number of items is not worth prioritizing. I hope you guys enjoyed this ranking the best and worst minimalist habits that I've tried. The ones that I've talked about not worth prioritizing for me could be something that is life-changing for you. It's important to really deep dive for yourself and figure out what's going to work for you. So experimenting with your own habits and being honest with yourself, what's making a difference and what's not making a difference. I really hope you found this video a little bit interesting or a little bit educational, and let me know what some of your favorite habits have been. Be sure to subscribe down below if you enjoy videos on practical minimalism and intentional living and personal development. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up. It seriously supports my channel and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Like, thank you guys. I cannot wait to see you guys in next week's video. Bye.